Have you ever wondered what it would be like to be the smallest girl in school? In the bustling world of school, there's a tiny newcomer whose name is Maya, a small girl with a heart full of courage and a pocket full of dreams. She just started her journey at a new school, carrying a mix of emotions. Imagine the first day of school, the new faces, unfamiliar hallways, and the jitters of the unknown. That's exactly what Maya was experiencing. She was a bit nervous, yes, but there was also a spark of excitement flickering in her eyes. The anticipation of new friendships, the joy of learning new things, and the adventure that comes with being in a new place. Maya might be small in size, but she is big in spirit. Her journey has only just begun, and there's a lot that awaits her. Little did Maya know, her size would lead her to some big adventures. Maya's first challenge came sooner than she expected. It was a bright sunny day, and the school bell had just rung for gym class. All the kids excitedly ran out to the basketball court. Maya, being the petite girl she was, got lost in the sea of taller, older kids. The gym teacher, a towering figure with a booming voice, started to pick teams for the basketball game. One by one, Maya watched as her classmates were chosen. The tallest boys were picked first, then the girls who were known for their athletic prowess. Maya, however, was left standing alone, the last one to be picked. She felt a pang of disappointment. She had always loved basketball, the thrill of the game, the camaraderie of the team. But because she was smaller than the rest, she was always picked last. Maya felt a cold wave of isolation wash over her. It was as if her size had created an invisible wall separating her from the rest of her classmates. Yet there was a fire within her, a spark of determination that refused to be extinguished. She looked up at the towering basketball hoop, then at her classmates, and made a promise to herself. She vowed to show everyone that size doesn't matter, that she could be just as good, if not better, at basketball. She would practice tirelessly, she decided. She would dribble the ball until her hands were sore, shoot hoops until her arms were tired. She would run, jump, and play until she could match the tallest and the strongest in her class. Maya wasn't just going to sit back and accept defeat. She was going to face this challenge head-on. She was going to prove to herself and to everyone else that she was more than just a tiny newcomer. She was a force to be reckoned with. She was a basketball player. And so, with a fire in her eyes and a basketball in her hands, Maya started her journey. She was small, yes, but she was mighty. She was ready to take on the world, one basketball game at a time. But Maya was determined. She vowed to show everyone that size doesn't matter. Maya knew that if she wanted to prove herself, she would have to work hard. This young girl, Maya, was a tiny newcomer at school, a small fish in a big pond. But she had a big dream, to be part of the school's basketball team. Her size was a challenge, but she was determined not to let it define her. She made a plan. Every day, as soon as the school bell rang, Maya made her way to the basketball court. She would practice her dribbling, her shooting, and her passing. Each day, she pushed herself just a little bit further. She was a sight to behold. This little girl on the large court, shooting hoops with all her might. Some days, the basketball seemed almost as big as she was, but she never let that deter her. She might have been small, but she was mighty. Maya was determined to improve, to get better, to become the best player she could be. And so, she practiced day after day, week after week. Her dedication was unwavering, her spirit unbroken. There were days when the task seemed too big, when the challenge seemed insurmountable. On those days, Maya would take a deep breath, tie her shoelaces a little tighter, and remind herself of why she was doing this. She was doing this for herself, for her dream, for the joy she felt every time she stepped out onto the court. She learned to use her size to her advantage, to be quicker, to be more agile. She practiced until her shots were accurate, until her passes were perfect. She worked hard, harder than she ever had before. And slowly but surely, Maya started to see an improvement. Her shots were getting more accurate, her dribbles more controlled. She was getting better, stronger, faster. She was becoming a force to be reckoned with. Maya was small, but she was mighty. Her determination was her strength. Her size was no longer a hindrance, but a tool, a secret weapon. Maya was proving to herself and to everyone else that size doesn't matter when you have a heart full of dreams and a spirit full of determination. The day of the big game arrived, and Maya was ready. The air was buzzing with excitement as the school basketball court filled with eager spectators. The court was a battlefield, the ball a coveted treasure, and the players warriors of their own kind. Maya, our tiny heroine, was one of them. She stood there, dwarfed by her taller teammates, her eyes sparkling with a fire that outshone her petite stature. Today was the day she had been waiting for, the day she would prove that size isn't everything. As the whistle blew, marking the start of the game, Maya's heart pounded in rhythm with the bouncing ball. The rival team was strong, their players tall and intimidating. But Maya was not to be deterred, for she knew that her small size was not a disadvantage, but a secret weapon. In the whirlwind of the game, Maya was a force to be reckoned with. She darted between the tall players with the agility of a gazelle, her small size allowing her to weave through the forest of legs unnoticed. She was everywhere, yet nowhere, a tiny specter on the court that left the rival team bewildered. As the game neared its end, the score was tied. The tension was palpable, the crowd on the edge of their seats. The ball was in Maya's possession. With a deep breath, she took off, slipping through the tall players like a shadow. The court seemed to stretch before her, the basket an unreachable destination. But Maya was undeterred. She sprinted, she dodged, she leaped, and with a triumphant yell, she threw the ball. Time seemed to stand still as the ball soared through the air and landed perfectly in the basket. The crowd erupted into cheers. Maya's team had won. And it was she, the tiniest amongst them, who had scored the winning point. Maya had proved that it's not the size of the girl in the game, it's the size of the game in the girl. Maya was a hero, but she had learned an important lesson. Maya, the little heroine of our story, discovered something that day at school that was far more significant than any game or challenge. She found out that being small wasn't a setback, but a unique trait that set her apart from the rest. You see, Maya had always been the smallest in her class, the smallest in her school even. She had often been overlooked, not picked for the soccer team, not chosen for the school play. But that day, Maya learned that being small wasn't a disadvantage. It was her superpower. She had skillfully navigated through the big game, using her size to dart between her classmates, to slip through gaps no one else could. She was swift, nimble, and determined. Her size didn't make her weak, it made her different, and it made her special. Her classmates, who had once seen her size as a reason to exclude her, now looked at her with respect. They saw her not as the tiny girl in the back of the class, but as the mighty Maya, the girl who could do anything. She became an example, an inspiration that taught everyone around her that size doesn't measure strength, courage, or determination. Maya's story was one of discovery, of understanding oneself and one's abilities. It was a story about embracing your uniqueness and using it to your advantage. It was a story about not letting others define you by their standards, but defining yourself by your own. Her story is a reminder to us all that it's not about how big or small, tall or short we are. It's about the size of our dreams, the strength of our will, and the depth of our determination. It's about being ourselves, being unique, and being proud of who we are. Maya learned a valuable lesson that day, a lesson that she carried with her for the rest of her days. She learned that being small didn't mean she couldn't do big things. Maya learned that being small doesn't mean you can't do big things. Maya's story is just one of many. Yet, it's a story that resonates with us all. It speaks of a tiny newcomer faced with her first challenge in a new school. It's about the courage she found within herself to overcome that challenge, and the big game that put her newfound strength to the test. Maya's journey is a reminder that it's not about how big or small we are, but about the size of our courage and the strength of our character. She showed us that with self-belief and resilience, we can rise above any challenge. Maya's story encourages us all. It tells us in a voice as loud as a lion's roar that we should embrace our unique traits. They don't limit us. Instead, they empower us to do great things. So, let's take a leaf out of Maya's book and hold on to our self-belief, even when the going gets tough. Remember, no matter how small you are, you can still do big things.